Good afternoon, welcome to Self Love Sunday. Today is a bit of a travel mode, so it's going to be slightly less professional form and it's not in my home. However, I hope you guys don't mind. Today, there was a subject that came to me kind of naturally because I realized even though I am quite regulated myself and I can already regulate in real time, some of the audience members, some of the girls and women in the audience may not be in the same space still, and they may still have moments where they try and understand their past life, they try to understand their past toxic relationship, and may still be some residue from that space. So today's subject is being okay, becoming okay with being the villain and the toxic person's story, because sometimes these people can still resurface in our lives, or we carry a guilt for leaving that kind of relationship or being thrown out of that kind of relationship, and we beat ourselves up, right? So first, let's talk about the weight of trying to be understood by someone that already decided they don't want to understand us. They have set themselves up to misunderstand us. At some point, it becomes exhausting to keep on trying to prove yourself to the toxic person. And you might be out of the relationship already, but you might be feeling guilty that you've left. You might be uh, in the middle of a smear campaign that this person is having against you. So, for example, you already are moving on with your life, but this person is resurfacing and trying to blame you, trying to put you in a bad light, and that kind of makes you want to respond, makes you want to protect yourself, make you want to potentially speak to, not maybe you want to speak to this person, but somehow you feel forced to try and explain yourself to them and to other people in your life. But let's acknowledge how this is a trap when we feel and think that maybe if I explain this one more time, maybe if I rephrase it in a different way, maybe they'll finally understand. Maybe when they understand what I've been through, I'll get my validation. I'll get my explanation of what happened to me. Maybe it will make my pain worthwhile. Maybe they will see me as a human being, as they always should have seen you. What finally empowers you is shifting from thinking from that space of maybe one more explanation, maybe one more different phrasing, maybe the support from, other people's perspectives will finally make that person understand. But what you're doing is actually shifting to thinking their version of me is none of my business. And I want to share a little bit of my story. I have completely moved on from this right now, and I am in a healthy, happy relationship. But there was a time when I was still in that mode of trying to rescue the other person, trying to rescue the toxic man, and trying to get them to understand me, right? And I was so terrified of the idea that someone out there may think that I am a bad person, that I am the villain. And that person in my life used fake breakups to get me to try and win him over, to try and get me to explain myself, and he was trying to deflect away from him being disrespectful, him crossing a very serious boundary in the way he called me, right? And when I stood up for myself, which he probably didn't expect, then it prompted him to start breaking up with me. And multiple times I was giving into that, multiple times. But when he crossed that one line that was a little bit too far, eventually I decided to say, okay, to the breakup. Don't get me wrong, I was deeply hurt. I was not okay, but I gave up. I was like, okay, if this is what you want, I'll just suffer in my own space. We'll break up. I'll suffer in my own space. I'll go through what I need to go through, right? and we'll move on in our own way. Of course, he hated that because the delusional response that followed was absolutely crazy. I have been cast out and blocked on all social media platforms, and then I've been emailed. And through emails, I've been I've been talked to in a sweet way, and minutes later, I would be called the B word. I would be getting long emails of how I am the bad person. And the shifts were happening so quickly from kind to unapologetic and wanting me back to B word, to this, to that, because you are this, you are that, you will never find anyone, you are going to die alone, yada yada. You get the gist. So just seeing that delusion, how quickly it could change from being loving to being abusive, that kind of flipped something in me. And even all of this was happening, I stayed polite and kind. I said to that person, actually, you're welcome, not even welcome, but I have no influence on what you think of me. This is your world, and actually I cannot tell you not to think things of me. This is not my right to tell you what you think. You actually have the right to think of the worst of me because you're a free human being. So I stayed polite, not for him, but I stayed polite because this was who I am, and this is who I am, right? I realized I could not fix his lens. I had to start being okay with him thinking I'm the bad guy. And that has freed me. That has freed my heart. Even though it hurt deep inside, it was the most freeing experience to know that I'm okay and I will be okay, even through that pain, because I know who I am and I am done proving it to someone that decided for themselves that I am a bad person. I cannot keep on proving myself over and over until the rest of my life. If he needed to see me as the B word to protect his ego, then I let him. By the way, I apologize for the nosy speech, but I have a bit of a cold, so. And I want to talk now about a certain aspect of what we already discussed, where you stop fighting for that last word and realize that you stopping the fight is the ultimate last word. You just no longer engage, right? But I want to talk about another aspect of this, which is expecting apology from a person that has hurt you. Expecting apology from someone that has hurt you is like waiting for a debt to be paid off from a person that has gone bankrupt. They don't deal with the currency of kindness. They don't have that currency, and they possibly never will. So this is the wrong place to ask for your debt to be paid off. So the sovereign heart choice you can make here is realize you don't need their signature on your truth to be valid for you. Your truth is yours. And what I would do instead, which is what I did actually, was writing an apology letter to myself from the perspective of the abuser if he needed. And you write everything that you need to hear, everything that has hurt you. And you write it like, yeah, whatever you need in that letter, pour it out. And you can do it multiple times because different things may come to you a little later in life. So just make sure that you give yourself what you need. You give yourself the closure, because the truth is, when you're waiting for the apology from the abuser, you're still outsourcing the power to them, the power of your life. You allow them a seat in your life, and you allow them to have a vote in how you lead your life later down the line. And they don't get a vote if you don't let them. you can give the closure and apology to yourself. You are the giver and the receiver of the grace. And if someone is smear campaigning against you right now, just ask yourself if there's anyone in your life that believes this person, that without first coming to you, is this a true friend? Or was this someone that was just waiting for some sort of negative narrative about you to confirm their own, I don't know, hollowness in their heart? Something that they were hoping for to happen. Perhaps someone else will bring a negative narrative about you and then can finally feel justified to being jealous of you or not liking you or wishing you unwell but hiding it, right? So even if it's painful to lose certain people in your life, just know that in that smear campaign, you will find out who is your true friend. You will find out who is truly there for you, who loves you unconditionally. Because truth is, if someone does, if they hear something negative about you, they will first come to you to confirm, is that the truth? Or they will instantly know that it isn't because they know your heart. They know the bigger picture of you. They perhaps knew you all your life. So do you really want a person that have known you a long time to turn against you in that smear campaign? Do you really want to fight for that person? Do you really want to fight for them changing their mind about you? Because I feel like their mind was already made up about you. They were just hiding it and waiting for a negative narrative to come from the outside to actually be justified in not liking you and being jealous of you or whatever it was, right? And now I want to give you a practical tip or practical thing you can do for yourself. um, Imagine the narrative of this other toxic person as a backpack on your shoulders, okay? So it's a heavy backpack. Feel it on yourself, yeah? And once you do that, I want you to drop your shoulders, let the backpack slide off, and say to yourself, you are welcome to your own version of me. I am home in my own version of me. I am home in my own version of me. You let that backpack, you let that narrative of theirs slide off your shoulders. And you take a deep breath of relief. Yeah. I hope this helps for today. And I hope you know, perhaps realize, maybe you already knew it in your heart, because women who are in toxic relationships, they usually are such beautiful, self-reflective, smart individuals, because they kind of have to do the work on themselves, because you blame yourself for everything, right? So then you should look for the problems in yourself, and you might actually get a better understanding of yourself in the process. And maybe you find yourself underneath the guilt and shame. Finally, you find who you truly are at the core, and that you don't really need other people to validate your heart, okay? So the true winning is not to try and poke back the toxic person. The true winning is you stopping to engage in the fight. In this instance, this is the best response. It is the most empowering, freeing thing you can do for yourself. So if you're a woman that is feeling guilty right now for leaving, or you're getting smear campaign about you, this is just a reveal of who the toxic person is, who the people in your life are, and it is definitely a confirmation that you shouldn't have been with that person, because you should never sacrifice yourself just so some other person doesn't say a bad word about you. Don't sacrifice your life just to be liked, just to be convenient, just to be for someone else and shrink. You are more than that. You are incredibly, incredibly resilient, brave, intelligent, beautiful person. So, this is it for today. Take good care of your heart. Kat has been through a lot. I'll see you next week.